And God said, See, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food. Also to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, and to everything that creeps on the earth, in which there is life, I have given every green herb for food. And it was so. Thank you all for joining me on another episode here on Back to Eden. Enjoy the episode. Welcome everyone to another episode here on Back to Eden. So over here, my part of our little water, I discovered some benches. A little bit overgrown, so they're not super useful for us. But what might be a nice little idea is to, maybe move these benches, come down here, do some mulching, and cut the grass down here. Even put a little bit of campfire, and could do some fishing. Roast some marshmallows and some things like that. So maybe something we'll look into here in the near future. We are in May, so we do need to go ahead and plant the rest of our garden. And I guess while we're right here, we'll just shut that off and we'll go ahead and knock that out. So we talked about planting another row of corn. So that's what we're going to plant right here. Make sure that we're planting. Looks like we are. And then we'll plant one more row of, I think onions is what we decided. What is this? Oh, that's onions. So we're having the same issue on this one. As you can see, we got really good rows here and then really sparse there. Is what we were when we planted the onions over here. So yeah, for some reason it's not giving us a full... We got gaps for some reason. I'm not sure why that would be. But we do. And we're not going to be planting another row of onions. I think we're planting green beans if I'm not mistaken. So that's what we're going to plant next to us. So one thing I do want us to kind of focus on in this episode is to start clearing some land to put our sheep in. So that's what we want to do. We're going to clear some land and then we're going to put down some seed and we're going to... start looking forward to getting some sheep so we can get our pens put in. Let's go ahead and switch over to green beans. So that I don't want to say priority number one, but it's going to be a big priority for us. The sooner we can get that grass planted, the sooner that we'll have actual pasture growing for us to hopefully get some animals here in the month of June. That is kind of that's my goal. Hopefully we can make that happen. So one thing that we're going to look at doing is, kind of talked about this before, right? We're only going to take what we need to take. So that is our garden all planted, good to go. So we're only going to take what we need to take. I did kind of go through and mark some trees. Now there's a forestry idea called silvopasture. Now I'm not super familiar with it. I have just kind of started learning about it myself. But basically the idea is that we want to open up the canopy of the trees and allow sun to come in, but keep some trees for shade. And it does provide, minor shelter as well for the animals without completely taking the forest down and completely, making it bare ground. So kind of what the idea that they talk about is that you take one tree, usually a good healthy tree, one that's, hopefully disease free. And then you take a certain distance. So what you do is you measure the circumference of the tree. So let's say it's 48 inches. You would come 48 feet away from that tree all the way around and you would cut all the trees down in that circumference. So what I kind of did is I just kind of decided where I wanted the pasture to kind of be. Let's just go ahead and jump into this menu real quick, just so that way we can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. Sorry. Let's do this. We're going to jump into flight mode just for a second. I think it's a little bit easier. So my intent is for us to leave the trees along the edge of the road. Now I'm planning on fencing along this grass line here, along the edge, keeping all the trees inside the pen. We don't want it on top of the road. It almost would maybe make sense to actually probably keep it away from there, but we're going to fence up to there and leave that alone. So as you can see, I didn't take into effect any of these trees. So what I did is I just kind of started in the middle. Now I've got this tree right here that we're going to utilize as one of those trees that we like. So basically everything in circumference of this tree we're going to cut down. And then, like I said, we're leaving all these. We're not considering these. We're just leaving them alone because that kind of gives us a barrier from the outside. So because we have this and we're cutting these down, so that leaves us with this tree right here. Will still be a good tree. We're going to leave everything along our campsite for now, so we're not taking any of that. We're going to kind of come out here and we're going to make just a small little pasture for now. It's not going to be real big. We just want to get started. So that's kind of our idea. So I just kind of want to share that with you and what my process is as far as, what trees we're cutting, what the plan is, how we're going to cut these trees down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to mulch the area that we want to plant. And then we're going to broadcast seed. Now, this is where I'm undecided yet. I'm undecided if we're going to actually till it up and plant seed, or if we're just going to broadcast the seed. Now, a lot of times what people will end up doing is they'll take their animals in front and they'll take, like, let's say pigs, and they'll go ahead and they'll have the pigs kind of, rustle up all this stuff and kind of work it all under, maybe behind some goats and sheep as they'll clear some of the brush. The pigs will go behind there, turn it all in, and then broadcast seed on top of that. Some don't even broadcast seed. Some just simply, just go ahead and throw the seed on top, or just let it grow as it is. I'm undecided. Now we're gonna for sure put seed down, whether we broadcast it with a spreader or whether we till it up and plant it. I'm undecided with that yet, but just go ahead. So like I said, we're just gonna do, kind of a small pasture for now. So we're gonna kind of come straight off of there, kind of come back this way, just a nice small little square pasture to get us started. It's hard for me to kind of, judge it all and gauge it all as from the ground. But I guess once we start mulching, hopefully things will kind of take shape a little bit more. I'm not at all concerned with the pens being square. I really don't care. We're just going to put pens down. We can always go ahead and, work on them a little bit longer or a little bit after, like as we grow and develop things and, kind of thin this out, as this is going to be a lot of pasture back here. We can always go ahead and start, readjusting some of those pens. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just start cutting some trees down. We'll get these drug out. And then I do believe we're going to leave some of the stumps in here. I kind of talked about that mentality earlier. So for now, let's just go ahead and let's just start cutting some trees. Almost just made a mistake. Okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and cut some trees now. right, well, I think that is all the trees for now. If we can go ahead and we'll just jump back in real quick just to kind of double check. Now, this doesn't have to be perfect. And you know, one of the really nice things is that if for some reason we take too many, we can always plant some back. We'll just build a little fence around it as it grows. And yeah, not a terrible, you know, thing if for some reason it's not absolutely perfect. Like I said, we can always take more. We can always, you know, plant some back and kind of go from there. So this is just a matter of us getting started, you know, and a way for us to start putting some pasture down. We need to get some pasture planted so we can, you know, get some animals in here. We'd definitely like for us to get, you know, a cow as well for us to start doing some milking, but it's important for us to have the infrastructure first before we just start putting animals in here. Otherwise, it's just going to cost us a ton of money in feed and other things. You know, right now we have the opportunity to, you know, still get it from the store as, you know, as we're still transitioning. This isn't an overnight thing. You know, unfortunately, it doesn't happen overnight, but it will continue to happen. So just a real quick update. As you can see, our house is coming along. They got the foundation, you know, put up. They got the floors put in. So they are continuing to work on that, making really good progress. We did get our greenhouse put in. They did put a well in for us. And so we went ahead and put that spigot up. Now we do need to get some water so we can get that greenhouse going here. So that is something that we are going to be taking care of here in the very near future as well. But I think we should get some logs moved. And then once we get the logs moved, we can go ahead and get that mulched. But maybe before we mulch, we'll go ahead and we can just go and get our water trailer, get our greenhouse going, and then get some mulching done, and then get some stuff planted. So let's just go ahead and get these logs moved, and then we'll take it to the next step after that. This should be our last tree. I think I hit this stinking stump over here about 3 times now, so kind of a bit of a pain there, but not a big deal. We got all the logs, I do believe, moved out of the way. Some of these are kind of heavy to pull. You know, definitely will be nice to get just a slightly bigger tractor here in the near future. But thankfully, overall, this thing is working pretty well for us. We do have a ton of logging, you know, that we're going to end up having to do here in the next, you know, a few months or a couple of years overall. So, you know, a little bit bigger tractor will be nice to have at some point. But either way, I think, you know, our tractor is working pretty good for us as we're doing it. So, like I said, I think we're going to go ahead and let's get our trailer unhooked here. we're going to go head up to the store. We're going to get us a water tank and get our greenhouse going. I think it's important for us to get that moving along, especially since our growing season is only going to last until, more than likely September, October. We might get some warm weather that lasts, and maybe it grows until October, but more than likely we've only got until September. So the longer we wait to get that going, the less time we're going to have for growing. So I'm going to get a water trailer, and we'll get it filled up. We'll get the greenhouse going, and we'll catch up back here in just a minute. All right, so we are back here with our trailer. This thing cost us about $2,700, but it's a 3,000 liter trailer, so pretty happy with it. Worked out pretty nice. We did get the mulching done. I don't know if I mentioned that here for this little area. Certainly does fill in a lot nicer once we get that taken care of. I did go ahead and activate, I think we are doing, chili peppers, garlic, lettuce, strawberries, and tomatoes. So definitely should get a pretty decent crop off of there. Should definitely give us, some good vegetables and some decent stuff to cook with. So pretty happy about that. Man, these contractors are absolutely flying on our house. Super excited about that. Again, we got a ton. I don't know why I'm hauling this thing around. Let's go park. let's go park this trailer over by our water spigot, and let's go ahead and leave that there. We'll need it again for when we get some sheep. But actually, I think the greenhouse holds 5,000 liters of water. Let's go ahead and just top that off right away. That way we know we don't got to worry too much about it. Awesome. So that is good to go. There we go. Unhook that thing. Yeah, we got a ton of logs here that we can be cutting up. Like I said, I did get some of these cut up already. And then of course, the ones that we moved over here, they're not cut up yet, but we'll get those done. We do need to, sell some lumber to make a little bit of cash. I don't know if we necessarily need to this month, but something that we're going to have to look into doing, at least, if not this month, for sure next month, to kind of get us forward. I think our loan is around $2,700 a month for our loan payment right now. Really hoping to kind of knock that down here, after the winter months. We also might need to, ran into our trailer. Might need to be thinking about the fact that we might need to get a little bit of a cultivator, so we might have to lease that. I don't know that we'll have the money to buy one. I guess we'll have to, kind of check the shop and see what's actually there when that time comes. But I know if we're going to go ahead and plow, we don't necessarily need to mulch, but I still think mulching is going to be a good route for us to go, just because it's going to give us a really good idea of actually where, we're going to put our pasture and kind of how big it is going to be. We got to think about, fencing cost. It's going to be quite expensive for us to do. So it's not going to be real huge. I'm really hoping that we can, put down 3 pastures. Now, that's not going to happen this month. Well, I'm thinking that we can get at least 1 put down, maybe, next month. And over the next month or 2, we'll start putting down, an extra pasture. So we can actually start doing rotating, especially as, our pastures are growing. We don't want to be, overgrazing them and killing all the grass. So let's go ahead and let's make us an outline here. So I think we'll go up to this tree, kind of turn around and kind of follow the road a little bit here. We'll come on the outside of this. Yeah, we'll kind of come over here and we'll push it to the outside of that stump there. Kind of follow our road line just a little bit. I don't know. I think that'll be a pretty good sized pasture. We'll come on this side of it and we'll kind of use this stump as a dividing line for us. And that'll be pasture number 1. And then maybe we can actually kind of grid this out to look how we kind of want and give us a better idea of the trees that we need to start taking down, and also even, you know, give us a better idea of, you know, kind of where we'll end up being as far as our pastures. Now, I don't know what we'll be able to afford as far as fencing on the first one. You know, maybe we can, you know, get some heavy logging done to kind of offset some of that. But I think overall that's a good little start for us. You know, I don't foresee us having a ton of sheep starting out. You know, maybe one goat or something like that we can put in here, give us a little bit of milk, and help us out with that. So, yeah, I think that's a good place to start. Let's try to grid this out a little bit. So if we kind of think about the same, maybe about the same size, we come up here, and maybe we'll use this tree as our turn point, and we'll kind of shoot the gap here between these two trees, and then we won't even actually mulch this whole thing. We're just going to kind of section this out. Like I said, we're going to kind of stay on the outside of these trees, so we'll bring that around here like this, and that should give us a second pretty decent sized pasture. I think that looks to be about the same. So then if we actually take and cut this over, so we'll take and cut this over here. Now this one won't be able to be perfectly square because we do have our garden there. I think we'll stay on the inside of this one, and we'll actually kind of round out. And where's our other one come across? We'll just kind of shoot over here and make this pen number 3. So I think overall that gives us what? That gives us 3 pastures. And then, you know, obviously we could, you know, kind of come over here and make a 4th one. Yeah, maybe let's draw a 4. Let's draw a 4. I think 4 is a good start for us. You know, I don't even know what the actual full growth season is for grass. I think it's like 3 months to be fully grown. So that would definitely benefit us by doing that. So let's, well, we're going to come up here. And then we're looking for, trying to connect it. Oh, it came up over. Okay. So we'll come over here. We'll come this way. And I think it shoots up just past the grass over here. So, yeah. That should be pretty good for us. I think that's a really good start. So let's go ahead and head over to pasture number 1. That's what we'll call it. We'll label it. We'll do all the good things with it. We could cut this tree down. Nah, we'll leave it. We'll leave it. I don't really care. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's get a decent amount of this mulched, and then we'll decide if we're gonna go ahead and plow it under, or if we're just gonna broadcast it, or how we want to go about it. But either way, let's knock this out. Alright, we'll finish up this last little pass here, and that should be good to go. So as I am thinking more and more about it, I think we're just going to go ahead and broadcast it. And the reason being, right, we're keeping some of these stumps here for the purpose of, right, they can grow new shoots out of here, and it becomes little mineral pockets for our animals. Now, obviously in a forest, we have a ton of root systems to, you know, kind of think about and deal with. And if we were to actually dig a lot of this up, it would be an absolute nightmare. More so because of the fact that we aren't, you know, taking up a lot of the stumps and stuff like that. So we're just going to broadcast it. But we do need to head up to the shop and grab a broadcast seeder. There was one up at the shop, so I think we'll go up there. We'll talk to them about getting one, and then we'll head back here. I think that the seed that we have, down here already should be enough for us to be able to plant what we're looking to plant. So we'll go ahead and we'll head up there. We'll grab that seeder. It should fit on the back of the truck, and then we'll head back down. And we'll get that planted. That way we had plenty of time, for the seed to grow and take effect and be established, hopefully, before, too late into June. And hopefully we'll be able to put some animals on that pasture come June. All right, we are back here with our seeder. We'll go ahead and park the truck right here for now. Definitely kind of... got ourselves a little bit of a junkyard looking area going on, which I'm honestly not a huge fan of. Like things to be a little bit more organized. But unfortunately, as we're kind of just getting started, this is kind of par for the course. I would absolutely really, really, really like to get us a shed, which I kind of keep forgetting about prioritizing. Might not be such a huge deal. Right at this very second, but something I definitely want us to start to really, think about. Let's go ahead. Will it let us put in there? Come on. There we go. Should take all of it, I would think. And it did. Perfect. So we're going to be planting grass, obviously. So we're just going to run around here, and we're just going to go ahead and start getting some seed planted. And we don't want to be, broadcasting too far over the edge, because we obviously still need to mulch a lot of those fields and, prepare the ground a little bit better than what they are, so... All right, and that is our grass field broadcasted. Now, hopefully, we'll have a halfway decent growth coming into June. So let's take a look at sheds. Let's take a look at sheds. All right, so one of my thoughts was to kind of put down just a simple tarp tunnel. Something like this. It only costs us about $9,000, so we could definitely sell, 2 loads of lumber and have ourselves enough for that tunnel. If we wanted to do something maybe a little bit wider, we could go 10 grand. So this is kind of what I was thinking, a good solid temporary, shelter for us. I say temporary, but it doesn't even have to be. We also have this one we could put down as well. It's a little bit more of a permanent style structure, as the frame's a little bit harder to take down with having the metal siding. So I really kind of wanted to lean towards one of these tarp buildings. That was kind of my initial thought. So with that kind of in mind, I think it's going to be important for us to get a little bit more land cleared. Kind of really, it doesn't have to necessarily be perfect, because it's not going to be permanent. That's why we want to do the tarp. It gives us a little bit of grace and wiggle room for being able to move it, somewhat easily without a lot of extensive effort in the back end. So I think if we just, kind of take a look. We want to stick close to maybe like right around here. I want to leave these trees alone for, honestly, I kind of want to have some trees that block us from the road. Thinking about having a nice little yard that kind of sticks, around in this area. We'll have our chickens maybe around over here as well, but to keep them close to the house. Our greenhouse will stay there. So, I mean, you're talking a yard about here. Kind of leave this section alone. So maybe we could actually come in and put ourselves, like I guess if we look, right, how much room would we actually need? We don't have to be clearing out a few trees here. And actually, I mean, we can almost put it down and then just kind of clear some trees around it once we get it there. I don't know. We'll play around with it. I think it makes sense for us to clear the land first, just so we don't end up dropping it on top of it, and then we end up, being worse off than what we would have been in the beginning. So yeah, let's take a little run over here. And so we kind of want to leave a good space. So I mean, we're talking like something around over here. Like I said, this is temporary. We can move it. Kind of sucks though. I don't really want to have it real far away from everything, but we also have. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna play around with that. We're gonna think about it. Maybe it makes sense for us just to put it right here. So we can always plant some trees, right? It's not a big deal if we take too many in one area. We've got a ton of trees, but it would also kind of be nice to plant some different trees, get a little bit of a, diversity for some trees. But I think right here is a really good spot for us to park that shed. It allows for us to be close to everything, right? We want to maximize efficiency and time, and having everything real far scattered away isn't going to be really good for us. You think about, like, we're going to build kind of a farmyard. Some of this is going to get cleared out. We're going to have some sections that are just going to be, right, there's not going to be trees in the way, and that's good. We need to do that. But we don't want to just start, going in there and clearing, 15, 20 acres of forest for the sake of clearing it. Especially because we already know that our garden's going to start to kind of get revamped. We're going to start to kind of clean this up a little bit. So we're kind of looking at a fairly good sized garden, right? I mean, this garden in theory is absolutely massive, but you think about feeding a family of 5 for, an entire year, with vegetables and things, it's actually not that big, and, food goes pretty quickly. So those are things to think about too, right? But we're talking about, taking care of the land. We also need to think about winter. Winter's going to be coming faster than what we think, right? It's not a big deal right now, but we want to have hard structure shelters for our animals in the winter. I think that's important for us to do. A small little concrete pad with, just something with a roof over the top, I think is going to be good for us. We don't need it to be super enclosed. So we'll be looking into, what is offered for some of those sheds, and things like that. So multiple different things for us to think about. But I think what we'll need to do is we need to get some lumber sold. We're running pretty low on funds. We want to get that shed put in. We need some fence. So I think what we need to do is get some stuff cut up and get some stuff sold. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead off camera and I'm going to cut up all these trees. And once I get all these trees cut up, we'll get a load loaded. And then we'll jump back in together up at the sell point. And then after that, maybe we'll put some time lapse in here of, getting some tree loading done. I'll clear out that area and move those trees over here, get them all cut up together. And then we'll jump in together. We'll do some selling and some loading together. And then we'll also go ahead and put that building down together. So I will catch up with everyone here in just a little bit. All right, so we finally got all that cut up. We're going to go ahead and get this load sold, and then we'll head back to the farm. It is raining a little bit, so we're going to just kind of put things on hold just for a little bit until the rain is done. But I did want to just jump in here real quick and let everyone know that we got everything cut up. We got that spot cleared out for the shed, and once we get back there, we'll take a look at that. And then hopefully we'll get that shed kind of put up and be able to get some stuff put in storage. So I'll catch up with everyone once it's done raining. Well, thankfully, the rain stopped by the time we got back. We got about $14,000 off of that load of wood, so we did fairly well. Like I said, as you can see, we got everything cut up into lengths. So I put all the ends over here. My plan is we're going to chip those and turn them into compost. Now I'm going to do some testing and just make sure everything works out the way that I'm hoping that it will, and that I'm wanting it to, and there's no conflicts with any other mods. And then we are going to change those into wood chips, turn them into compost, and utilize our compost for some natural fertilizer. And then, like I was saying, we did go ahead and get that spot cleared out. If we just kind of jog over here real quick. We got it cleared out. We got a load of gravel brought in, and we put a load of gravel down as a good solid base for whenever we get the shed put up. I'm hoping to get that put up. I got a company coming. They said they could still be here relatively soon in order to get this put down. Maybe even by the end of the evening. They said it would only take about an hour and a half for them to put it up. And they could potentially be working on that while we go ahead and load up that wood. So hopefully we'll have that done, before it gets too dark. And then we can get our stuff stored in the shed where it properly belongs. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're just going to start selling some lumber. Try and get us a good cushion for kind of moving into June, and some prep work as far as, getting some animals. We want to get those lined up from a local dealer, and then look into putting down, our pasture. We got to put fence up. So we need a decent amount of money. So we're going to go ahead and let's just get some wood sold.
I was lost beneath the weight of all my shame, a debt I couldn't pay, a stain I couldn't wash away.
Then mercy stepped into my broken place. Love stood silent as they called your name.
You could have walked away, but you stayed. You chose the cross for me. This is what love looked like. Nail-scarred hands stretched wide for a world that didn't understand. Grace poured out in crimson red. Heaven touched the earth when your blood was shed. This is what love looks like. Nail-scarred hands. You obeyed the will of heaven's throne, a spotless lamb yet fully known, marked and beaten, torn and bruised. Still you pray, Father, they know not what they do. Every breath you gave was love displayed. The cost you gladly paid. This is what love looked like. Nail-scarred hands stretched wide for a world that didn't understand. Grace poured out in crimson red. Heaven touched the earth when your blood was shed. This is what love looked like.
As you've seen, I'm probably not the greatest at this manual loading, but it is something that I'm really working on, and really want to learn more about, and really get more proficient with doing the manual loading aspect, with not just with lumber but also with a lot of different things throughout the game. I just think, to me, it makes it more immersive and more enjoyable. But it might not necessarily be the most pleasant to watch. It maybe can kind of be rather irritating at times. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish loading this off camera. And I'll get it sold. And we'll come back and we'll get a tally of what we have done. I will continue to do this manually off camera. The only way for me to get better is to do it. So I'm going to continue to work on that, and then we'll jump back in together once we're all done, and we'll get a tally of what we made. Well, we only made about $12,000 off of that last load. There's a little bit left over here for us to pick up, but we're going to go ahead and leave that for now. The construction company did get our shed finished up, so that is all done. And the nice part is we can drive straight through, so that works out really good for us. And as a matter of fact, we'll just go ahead and park this in here for right now. That load that we brought in, it was only, you know, about $12,000, but it makes sense because they were smaller logs getting down towards the top end of the trees, so not going to be as much volume there for us. But I think this is where we're going to go ahead and leave the episode. We got quite a bit accomplished. We got our garden completely planted and finished up, so that's 100% done. We got an area cleared out for our home. We got an area cleared out for our shed. We got some land cleared for our future pastures. We got some grass seed put down, so hopefully come next month this will be, you know, sprouted, and we'll be able to put some sheep on here. And then, you know, we obviously got other things to start taking care of. We got to clear some more land for other pastures, but it's a really good start for us. You know, come into the month of June, we should hopefully have some animals. We're going to have things that are, you know, growing. Things are coming to fruition. Our house is coming along very, very well. The construction company is doing phenomenal with that. So very, very, very happy with how things are progressing. So that is going to be it. I hope you all enjoyed the episode. If you did, feel free to like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.